Hey everyone, what's happening? Lex back today for another Brawl Stars video. Today we are going to be talking about star powers. More specifically, we're going to be speaking about the top 3 and the bottom 3, the best and the worst star powers in the game right now as seen from my perspective. So star powers, of course, you unlock as the very last thing. It is like the pinnacle of your brawler progression. And some of these star powers are pretty lackluster, although we got some that are actually really strong as well. So let's go over the best and the worst, and then you guys tell me what you think is the best, what you think is the worst down in the comments down below. Let's just start here at the bottom, the very worst star power in the game, in my opinion, and that has to be my man Bull. Okay, so Bull, his power is, it's called Berserker, and when Bull falls below 30% health, his reload speed doubles. I mean, doubles. That sounds really cool, right? But here's the bad side is that, yeah, Bull has a decent amount of health, but 30% of his health, that's what, only like 1,500 or so health, and with everybody doing as much damage as they are now, it pretty much just puts you one shot away from dying. So all that extra reload speed, you have to be playing up really close as Bull. I just don't see how it's really that effective. Now, I will say that the one place I think it would be really effective, and I haven't tried it out yet, and that is in boss battle as the boss. Because your health pool is so large as the boss, you have a much longer time at 30%. And if you've got a very long time at double reload speed, watch out, because that might be crazy. But in normal plays, which is what we're talking about here, I think that Berserker, Bull's ability, is really, it's a cool idea, but in practice, I just don't think it doesn't live up to that star power feeling. Next up is Poco. Now, Poco, his star power is actually really good. I mean, it does 1,000 hit points of healing. That is awesome. Here's the downside is that you have to die for it to happen. So unless you're bad like me and you're dying all the time, you're really hopefully not going to be using it very often. So you've built up your whole brawler progression. You've worked to the very top. You've spent 1,000 tokens for that star power, and yeah, I hope I don't have to use it. I mean, that's basically what that amounts to, is that you hope you never have to use his star power. And I don't think it should feel that way. I personally think that a star power is something that you should be able to really enjoy and get, you know, some good use out of. And nobody really enjoys dying. I mean, I've gotten used to it, but nobody enjoys dying. So while I like the idea of it, you know, throwing out this huge heal, I just don't think it should happen when he dies. But I mean, I guess is what it is, and it's a nice, you know, swan song. I mean, that's a cool name, and the ability is also really cool. It's just, you gotta die to use it, and nobody wants to do that, especially not after you built up, you've paid your 1,000 tokens to get that star power. It's like, yeah, okay. Now, third from the worst here, I'm gonna have to say is my man Brock, and I love Brock. He's one of my favorite brawlers, but his star power, Incendiary, Brock's main attacks rockets set the ground on fire on impact. Enemies in the area take 160 damage per second. Okay, well, I will say that the graphic and the artwork of it, you know, the animation of the blue fire on the ground, that looks really cool. I like that. But here's the bad thing is that, 160 damage per second isn't that much, considering that his whole fire only sets one tile on fire, and nobody's going to be standing in there all the time. Just, you know, you may get like one extra tick on there, and that's fine, but I don't see how it's that useful. And if it were that useful, you're still not doing very much extra damage, not for a star power. So I don't really... I think I like the idea, but maybe if it was just a wider radius, that might be a little bit OP, but maybe even more damage or last a little bit longer. I'm not really sure, but Incendiary, it's a little lackluster. Again, if you're building up all the way to that star power, you really want something that feels like a star power, and Brock just doesn't cut it for me. All right, so before we move into the top 3, I've got to say there are a few honorable mentions that didn't make it onto this list, and I was really torn by them. First of all, Spike, his is really good. You know, it does 600 healing per second while you're standing in a super. That is a lot, and I've seen I even saw one on Reddit today where a guy was just completely spawn camping somebody with the gems and S&G and completely owned the game at the end. I don't know who that was, but props to you, because that was a really awesome clip. And Spike's is really strong. And also Shelly's, as if Shelly's super wasn't strong enough already to be able to, whenever she stuns, knocks back, blows through walls, and also slows down an enemy. Holy crap. I mean, that is really, really strong. And Shelly's is also really, really good. Some other decent honorable mentions, good honorable mentions, are Colt. I know it doesn't sound flashy, but that run speed is actually a really nice thing. So he's not as fast as Crow, but he is faster, and Colt's already just a terror on the battlefield because he does so much damage. So Colt is also really strong as well. A dishonorable mention I'm going to have to say is Darryl. Now, Darryl's special ability, it sounds good on paper, and it is good-ish, is that whenever he's in his barrel roll, he takes 70% less damage, and that's really cool. But the thing is that when you're in that barrel roll, you're moving so fast and so far that probably not a lot of people are going to be shooting after you, unless maybe like you're coming straight out of Shelly, then I could see it being effective. But overall, it's not the most effective super, or not the most effective star power that there is. I mean, it's okay. It did make it out to the bottom 3, but it wasn't too far off of it. Another close to dishonorable mention would be Primo. I mean, yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's again, a really cool effect. Watching people set it on fire, and that's really cool, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. It does, I think the best thing part about a Primos is that it negates any kind of healing that would be happening for, I think it's like 5 seconds. So that is really cool on that part, but the damage itself component of it isn't that great. Some ones in the middle like Nita and Jessie. Well, Jessie's is actually pretty strong if you want to use your shots to heal your turret. But you can use your own turret to chain off onto other people, so that's pretty cool. So hers is really strong. Nita's is pretty good, not the greatest. It doesn't do a lot of healing either way, but it is something and it definitely helps. The bad side of that is that her bear usually doesn't connect very well. So I don't know. Let's move on to the top 3 star powers, in my opinion. Now, these aren't the most flashy star powers, but honestly, I think that the best star powers, and I'm talking in terms of actual using them and actually making them effective, are ones that are almost passive ones that are chained off of your normal attacks. Because while the special attacks are cool, using it on your super, you don't get to use it as much, plain and simple. So let's start with number 3, and that would be my man Ricochet. I've grown to really enjoy playing Ricochet. He's actually so unbelievably strong. I wouldn't be surprised to see somewhat of a nerf in the somewhat near future. It obviously didn't happen right now, but let's talk about Ricochet. Super bouncy. Ricochet's bullets from attack and his super alike pick up speed from their first bounce and deal 100 extra damage per bullet. Now, Ricochet has potentially like the highest damage output of any of the brawlers. That's including Colt, which is kind of crazy. Every bullet that he hits is 432 damage at max, and if you bounce that off a wall, it's 532. So let's just think about that for a second. That's almost 25% damage increase if you're using a wall to bounce, which if you're playing Ricochet, you're going to find a lot of those situations where you will be. And some of those maps, like Temple Ruin, where it's the side where it's got that small closed in and it's, you know, grassy, when you use your super up in there and it bounces through everything, think of the amount of damage you could put out because it pierces and it's doing extra damage and speed. Wow, Ricochet's is actually really, really strong. Yeah, it's not sexy. It's not sexy, but it's really, really strong. And I think Ricochet's getting 25%, basically, just under 25% extra damage off of his normal attacks when he bounces a wall is really strong. And so if you guys got the tokens and you're looking for something to put in, Ricochet is not a bad one to invest in. All right, so at number 2, everybody's been clamoring for a buff for this man. Mortis, that's right. So Creepy Harvest. Mortis can now see and reap the souls of defeated enemy brawlers. Collecting a soul restores 1,200 of his health. So 1,200 health. Every time you kill somebody, it drops a little skull. I don't know if you guys have seen him yet. If you haven't, watch the gameplay right here because it's happening. Whenever he kills somebody, he doesn't even have to kill them. Anytime someone of the enemies dies, they drop behind this little soul. It looks like a little green skull. He goes over and picks it up. He regains 1,200 health. That's about a quarter of his health in one shot. So I mean, he's kind of got that assassin feel, so this even makes it so much more cool because he can dash in there, kill somebody, and if he, you know, usually when you kill somebody as Mortis, you're left at like half health or maybe a little bit lower. This right there will instantly give you basically 25% of your health right back. And that is pretty cool. And then if you don't need it right then, you can leave it sit there because it stays for a while and you can take some more damage, you can do some more, and then you can come back and pick it up when you need to. And that is really cool. So while Mortis didn't get his speed back or just straight up a health increase, he did get this star power, and I think that it really helps him become a more viable brawler. So Mortis, another star power if you're looking to invest in, not a bad one to choose. And finally, number 1 on my list. Now, again, this is absolutely not a sexy pick, but you have to remember that this is going to be effective every time you shoot somebody, and that is my favorite brawler, Crow. It's called Extra Toxic. Crow's poisons sap the strength of enemies, causing them to do 10% less damage while the poison is active. So straight across the board, anytime you're just attacking somebody as normal, you got your poisons on there, and it lasts a while. As you know, they're doing 10% less damage. If you get a team grouped up and you were to be able to hit all of them at once, which is not completely unlikely because Crow's spread is decent, you can make them do 10% across the board, their entire team, 10% less damage to everyone for 4 or 5 seconds, something like that. It's pretty crazy. And the amount of rate that he can fire, you can keep that up a lot. Think of if you were just to calculate the amount of damage decrease that Crow is able to cause from an enemy team nonstop against you guys. That's kind of crazy. And again, I know it's not sexy. There's no cool animation. It just has normal poison look to it. But it is a very strong super. Again, not sexy, but really strong. So if you've got Crow, if you're lucky enough to have him, I highly suggest that you pick up that star power because it will be well worth your 1,000 tokens. So that's my list, the worst and the best star powers in the game right now as I see it. I do want to hear from you guys. Leave a comment down below. Who do you think are the best and the worst star powers in the game right now? Who did you buy first? You know, would you change anything now that after you've been playing for a bit? I don't know. And I just want to say real quick, thank you all so much. We just recently hit 10,000 subscribers. It was crazy. It was crazy. I did a stream for a 9,000 subscriber special. I was a little bit behind. I started off at like 9,750 for the night, and I wake up, we ended the stream at almost 10,000. I wake up and I have like 10,050. And you guys are crazy. You guys are crazy, and I absolutely love you guys. So thank you so much for all the support. Really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for your support. It means a ton to me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, until next time, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Lux out.